Lewandowski is with us as well this evening, and he has his reaction to this and other things that are cropping up in Trump land. Trump's former campaign manager. Corey, good evening. What went through your mind as you watched all of that?
Well, this is a man with maybe the greatest Messiah complex we've ever seen. I mean, this is a man who decides what is right and wrong. He decides what information should be given to the American people and what shouldn't. This is a man who is trying to justify the leaking of classified information, whether it's to his friend, to his attorneys, or to whoever he decides is appropriate. It's okay as long as he's made the decision. It doesn't matter what the FBI rules are. It doesn't matter what the protocols are. Jim Comey, who is using government documents, government information, government computers to put this information on, has decided that it is in his best interest to make it his personal diary, regardless of what the rules say. Jim Comey is the one who decides what's right and wrong for this country now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you look back at the Hillary Clinton investigation and you think about the emails and the fact that they were done on a state server and that she had a private email address. You know, all of those same issues kind of converge. And the thinking in that investigation was that basically anything that was done under the auspices of Secretary of State on computers, discussing things with other people that you work with, was all considered to be government property. So it's interesting that it sounds like he holds himself to a slightly different standard there. I want to move on to some other things. The president lost Ronnie Jackson as his VA secretary prospect today. What do you think about that, Corey?
I think it's the very worst that Washington, D.C. has to offer. This is a man who served his country with distinction, both in the military overseas and here domestically. He served 3 presidents. You know, never during his tenure, when he has gone through 3 FBI background checks or had the opportunity to get his first star, were any of these issues raised. And now this president puts him up to be the secretary of the VA, and all of a sudden, 23 unnamed sources come forward with stories which aren't corroborated, which have never been brought forth, to take down a man who's clearly, by all accounts, even by the accounts of the Democrats and Barack Obama himself, has been phenomenal in his role as the chief physician to the president of the United States. This is everything that's wrong in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you know, I mean, John Tester went after him with a hammer and put all of these things out there, and then went on national television and said, you know, I can't say 100% sure that these things are actually happened. So it was basically his word against the word of Dr. Jackson. But the president this morning went after Tester. He said that he thinks he's going to pay for what he did. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I think what you're going to see is John Tester is going to be held accountable at the ballot box in November. You know, the state of Montana is a state that Donald Trump won by more than 20 points. It's a state that historically votes very conservatively. And now the people of Montana have seen the real John Tester. This is a man who comes to Washington, says one thing, goes back to Montana and says something different. We've now seen him destroy a career of a superiorly qualified individual to be the secretary of the VA because he wants to play partisan politics.
One more quick question for you. Rudy Giuliani in the mix now. Is he going to broach a deal for the president to sit down with Robert Mueller?
Well, I love the fact that Rudy is now part of the president's legal team. I think he's the right person. He has the political skills. He has the legal skills. And I think what you're going to do is see Mayor Giuliani negotiate with Robert Mueller to come to a resolution as it relates to the president, to bring a conclusion to this fake investigation where there's been no collusion with the president and any outside sources. So I think that's what the mayor's going to focus on. And I think it's very important to have the American people bring that to a conclusion as well.
There was a report today that said that Mueller reiterated that he would like a chance to ask Trump questions about the steps he took during the transition and early months of the administration. He emphasized that an interview is essential for investigators to understand Trump's intent in making key decisions as they seek to wrap up the portion of the probe focused on potential obstruction of justice. Quick thought.
No obstruction of justice whatsoever. Look, I think this has been very clear. This investigation has now been going for almost a year and a half. It's spent millions of taxpayer dollars. It's time to end it.
Corey Lewandowski, always good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, what a day for the man who used to be known as America's dad. Bill Cosby, guilty on 3 counts of sexual assault.
It's been a very long journey, but this is an historic result.
In a landmark verdict for the Me Too movement, the comedian will likely spend the rest of his life in prison because dozens of women were brave enough to come forward with their stories, and it was adjudicated in a court of law today. Attorney Kimberly Guilfoyle and Mark Thiessen on the impact on the culture and the country from this.